Hi, it's Maggie the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your March 2018 mid-month general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today, and always welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for all your likes, shares, and subscribes. And you know, it's hard to say that word subscribe. I always find myself stumbling over it. And thank you to those of you who take the time to write in your support, feedback, and comments. Especially those of you who take the time to write in how the reading resonates for you, because I'm always really interested to see how it plays out for people. So thank you for taking the time for that. And in addition, always I like to thank all of my clients out there, regular and new clients, for the opportunities to read for you and for continuing to keep me so busy with them. And if any of you are interested in a personal reading with me and you haven't read with me before, you can find that information and contact details by going to my YouTube channel's homepage, clicking on the About button. You'll also find that information attached to the description of all the videos I post. You can email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. Turnaround time is pretty fast because I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. I can almost always get back with you within the same day or the first 24 hours of your initial contact with more information. And scheduling a reading with me, live or recorded, is anywhere from a few days, if I get cancellations and reschedules, which I often do, upwards of 2 weeks, but almost always within a 2-week period of time or so, we can set up a reading for you, live or recorded. So if you're interested, send me an email and we'll go from there. If any of you are looking for those of you who are not looking for the more traditional, in-depth, complex readings, maybe you just have a quick question or two, or you have a decision you need to make on the fly, you can connect with me more quickly for answers on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. That's also with my contact information. That's if you're not looking for the longer, in-depth readings. You just want, you know, a fast answer to a fast question or a decision you need to make quickly. They have a one question, one answer option, or you can open it up for a short little reading via text. They have a phone option and a video chat option as well for those of you who just need something really quick and really fast. So you can find me there as well. Don't we live in a technologically savvy world today? All right, let's move right into this. This reading is for the air sign of Gemini, Gemini the twins, for the remainder of March 2018. I am recording these in the second week of March. Let's see what the remainder of March has in store for the air sign of Gemini. If you know your rising and your moon sign videos, or if you know your rising and your moon sign, try to watch those videos as well. That can give you additional insight and clarification. Or you might find that sometimes they play out a little more predictably for you than your primary sun sign. So Gemini, we begin with the Eight of Wands, followed by the Knight of Pentacles, and the Two of Swords, followed by the Four of Swords. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is the Eight of Cups. Okay, Gemini. So Gemini, it looks like a lot of you are leaving something behind. You're walking away from something which perhaps you have found to be turning out to be disappointing or disillusioning in some sense, or there is an overall general feeling for the remainder of March of wanting to leave something behind because you're perhaps disappointed or disillusioned. Perhaps something has turned out a little differently than what you thought, or you're just, something has run its course and you're just tired of it. You want to be done with it. What area of your life this may resonate is going to vary, because that's the trickiness of general readings. There's so many of you watching, thousands of you watching. So while the details and specifics may vary depending on who's watching, the fundamental energy and advice remains the same. The focus, the general energy for the next couple of weeks of March is the Eight of Cups, which is the card, as you can see, of turning your back on something and leaving it behind. What these cups represent to this individual, you can see some of them are tipped over and spilled out, and some of them are upright. The implication being that he has tasted and drunk most, if not all, of these cups, and for whatever reason, at the end of it, he's found out it's not what he thought they maybe originally thought they were going to be, or it's turned out differently than what he thought, or he's come to the end of it and he's still disappointed, disillusioned. You know, there's no joy or fulfillment in that, so it's leaving something behind or wanting to leave something behind. And it's a pretty definitive energy too of being done, because he's made up his mind already. He may not be entirely sure of the direction he's going in. As you can see, he's standing there surveying the horizon, but he's turned his back. He's dressed for travel. He's got his hat on, his cloak on, his traveling clothes. He's got his walking stick. Even if he doesn't know exactly where he's going, what he does know is that he wants to leave this behind, or he is leaving this behind. So that's the general overall energy for the next couple of weeks, so the remainder of March. Now we have the Eight of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles around the middle or the third week of March, time always being somewhat fluid, of course. The Eight of Wands is a card that often represents communication. Sometimes it can represent waiting for communication, because as you see these wands, the bearers, the deliverers of this news, information, or communication, have left their point of origin, but they haven't quite reached their destination. So if some of you may be waiting for some kind of communication, which has to do with leaving this behind, whatever area of your life it's resonating in. Some of you will be receiving this news and communication around the middle of March or so, and it may be about an offer or an opportunity that you may be waiting to hear about. Some of you may be waiting for just the right moment to present an offer or opportunity, but I feel like the majority of you, it's waiting for one to come in, waiting for news or communication to come in. Some of you, there may already be active communication about some kind of tangible offer or opportunity, because that Eight of Wands is clarified by the Knight of Pentacles, Pentacles being earth energy, and typically manifests in the tangible area of our life, about things we can see and touch and feel. Often it's things like money, finance, property, resources, assets, job, projects, etc. Knights can represent the speed at which a situation moves, and they're the deliverers of the tarot, so it typically represents an offer or an opportunity. So this one is tangible in nature. It's a concrete one. It's one that may make a difference in your practical day-to-day life. Sometimes this shows up for job offers or opportunities. Sometimes it might be a little more casual. Sometimes I've had it show up for, you know, someone helping you move, someone actually being there to do the physical work with you. Job offers and opportunities, or project offers and opportunities. And it can also represent, for some of you, maybe tangible resources that enable you to make this move, to walk away or leave something behind. Some of you, it could be, you know, maybe you're working in a job that you find, you know, you're not satisfied with, you don't find it fulfilling, and you're waiting to hear, you're waiting for another offer opportunity. Perhaps you've applied for something and you're waiting to hear back on that. Again, the nature of what the offer opportunity is, or what's going to enable you to leave one thing behind and start out on something else, is going to vary. Knights can also represent the speed at which a situation moves too. And even though all four of the Knights are generally associated with things that move quickly, because Knights have, you know, that spontaneous, impulsive energy. They're known for kind of charging off, because they're all about, you know, completing the quest, achieving the mission, bringing back results. Out of all four of those, the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest. He will always see the job done from beginning to end. This is lovely, grounded earth energy. It's solid, stable, reliable. It might not be as flashy or as fast, you know, or as emotional as some of the other Knights, the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, but he will see it done, you know, putting one foot in front of the other from beginning to end. But it is a slower moving energy than the other three Knights as well. So again, some of you are waiting. There is a sense, some of you may have already left something behind or are in the process of doing this, but even if that applies to you, I still feel like there's a sense of waiting for communication on how to proceed further, or waiting for what you need to move forward, because it feels like right now there's a bit of kind of being stuck and maybe feeling kind of tired and worn out, and that could be contributing to this feeling of generally wanting to leave something behind too, because at or towards the end of March 2018, Gemini, we have the Two of Swords and the Four of Swords. A lot of internal mental energy here, which is what the suit of swords represents. It's air energy. That's the element which governs the suit. So it's mental, cerebral, intellectual energy. It's about how we think and what our belief systems are, our ideas, and how that affects the way that we see the world and people in the world and how we relate to that as well. The Two of Swords, as you can see, is a card that represents kind of being stuck or feeling like you're stuck, being at a crossroads. Perhaps the blindfold can represent not knowing exactly what to do. Sometimes the blindfold can represent kind of having your head stuck in the sand as well. There may be something in front of you that needs to be dealt with, a choice that needs to be made, a decision, but for some reason you don't really want to look at it directly. There's a reluctance or a resistance to taking the blindfold off and looking at it directly, because then, often when we look at something directly, face something head on, with that comes the obligation to have to take action, to choose an actual path. And often the Two of Swords can represent being in a place where you feel stuck because you don't want to look at something directly. There's something that you don't want to deal with. For some of you, you may be feeling like it's time to walk away from something, but you still have an attachment to it. And that Two of Swords can represent, I don't really want to deal with this, or maybe you want to move away from something, but you're afraid to because it's the new, it's the unknown, and you may be afraid to kind of move forward on that. Some of you, that stuck feeling may just be coming from, waiting on whatever this news or communication is. It's until you know more, until something is clarified, you feel like you can't proceed any further. And it may have you feeling a bit tired and worn out. There's definitely a sense of maybe wanting to withdraw towards the end of the month of March, and maybe needing to withdraw, particularly if this involves any kind of ongoing or present conflict. Because the Two of Swords is accompanied by the Four of Swords, which is a card of withdrawal from conflict, temporary. You can see, and I say temporary because you can see that this soldier is still girded for battle. He's got all of his armor on. He's only taken his helmet off so he can lay down. The Three Swords, which are still pointing down directly at him, represent whatever battle or challenge or conflict he's been engaged in. They're still there, and his own sword is lying close by his hand should he need it, but for the time being, he has withdrawn from the battle, withdrawn from the challenge, withdrawn from any conflict. So strong advice, particularly if you're feeling tired, worn out, exhausted, because this soldier definitely is. He's tired of fighting, or he's tired of, the effort, and he needs to take a time out to rest, recuperate, recharge, and maybe try and withdraw a little bit to get a different perspective, maybe for some, to get a little bit more enlightenment or guidance on what to do. So definitely at the end of the month, for those of you who feel like you're stuck and you don't really know which way to go, or there's something that you need to deal with, or a choice that needs to be made, but you're kind of reluctant and resistant to do it, but there's just this overall sense of feeling maybe tired and worn out, wanting to leave something behind. Maybe you have, but you still feel stuck, or maybe you feel like you should leave something behind, but for some reason you're not ready to proceed yet. Especially if you're waiting on communication or news and feeling like you're trapped until you get it. At the end of the month, the Four of Swords would also represent needing to maybe take a little better care of yourself, or whatever it is that you can do for yourself to kind of rest, recharge, recuperate, take some time off and get a little bit more sleep, maybe get a massage or go do something. There's definitely also advice for those of you who are involved in conflict to take a step back from that, to kind of withdraw from whatever or whomever the conflict is with, physically if you can, just for a time period, to kind of maybe get a fresh, different perspective, which removing ourselves, or at least distancing ourselves from conflict can give us maybe a different insight that we can't have while we're actively involved in it. And just basically taking some time to be good to yourself towards the end of the month, because a lot of you, it just feels like this, I'm just kind of getting this sense of I just feel kind of tired and worn out, but I feel kind of stuck in it. I'm almost surprised that I'm not seeing the Eight of Swords, that feeling kind of trapped feeling, because I almost feel like it is, but for a sense of feeling trapped, maybe because you're waiting on communication about a situation from someone. It could be that you need to be the one to communicate but you're holding off on that because you're not quite sure if it's the right thing to do. And I think just creating some distance and getting some more rest and recuperation at the end of the month is called for here, Gemini. It just looks like more of an internal contemplative sort of remainder of March 2018, Gemini. And if you're the sort that doesn't deal well with waiting or with being stuck, you know, there's a little bit more mental air energy here than anything else. If you're the sort, I know air signs can sometimes be very analytical and detail oriented. Be careful about feeding into too much mental energy and getting yourself really stressed out and worn out, because it looks like there may be a tendency to do that and find yourself kind of tired at the end of the month. So be careful to take good care of yourself as well. I feel like for most of you, there isn't a clear answer or clear action coming through for the next couple of weeks, but I feel like this is something which is going to play out for those of you for whom that resonates pretty early on in April. And although there's no, there's no cards here representing this, I feel like there's going to be some divine timing and orchestration coming into play here. It could be at the very end of March or the beginning of April, which will help things work in your favor. It may be like a Wheel of Fortune type of thing, stroke of good luck, of good fortune. I'm just getting that for some of you as well. I don't think it'll be until the beginning of April, but it could be at the very end of this month of March as well. So Gemini, that pretty much wraps up your March 2018 mid-month general readings. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have found it helpful, useful, comforting in some way, or validating. Hopefully, I always hope it's at least not confusing. If it doesn't resonate at all, that's why we ask you to check your rising and your moon sign videos as well, because sometimes we don't always connect with the readings for our sun sign with some readers. So again, for any of you who are interested in any personal one-on-one reading with me, just go to my YouTube channel's homepage for more information and my contact details, and you can also find those attached to the description bar of all the videos that I post. Take care, Gemini. I will see you all in a couple of weeks for the April 2018 general readings, and until then, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Bye-bye.